Hello everyone, this is Colin and welcome to Meet Me at the Table. Today we are going to do a playthrough of Flame and Fang. This is a prototype copy of a game that is currently out on Kickstarter. What's unique for me about this game is this game was designed by Michael Kelly and Peter Goosis, some of my two greatest friends in the YouTube board gaming community. They were part of One Stop with me and I was super excited when they told me they were doing this Kickstarter, and I'm so excited to show you this game. Oh, it's fun. If you like deck builders and you like hand management puzzles, this game is for you. It is super fun. It has 8 scenarios in it. We're actually going to play scenario 3 because there's lots of other playthroughs out doing scenarios 1 and 2. So I thought, hey, why not? We'll do scenario 3. I won't spoil any of the story, but the advantage of that too is you also get to see a new mechanic, and that's these magic tokens. So when you're playing scenario 3 and onwards, you're going to grab 4 of these tokens and you're going to put them out face up next to the table. And twice per turn, you can use these magic tokens. When you use them, you get the effect that's on the tokens, but then you have to draw a condition card and put it on top of your deck. And those condition cards are usually bad. So, kind of a fun give and take. Maybe you really need a symbol of a specific type. This can give it to us, but then by drawing that magic, we have to deal with a negative effect our next turn. As I mentioned, this is a prototype version of the game, so all of the components may change slightly in final production, but I can at least give you a good feel of how the game plays. Normally I do a full setup, but we don't need to do that here since I'm just showing you how the game works. We're just going to jump right in. Each chapter of the 8-chapter campaign has this little booklet that you will flip over. It's got some flavor text. You can read about the story. I will pass that by just so I don't do any sort of spoiling for you. This will show us how to set up the board. You can see there are certain tiles that have to be face up, these 3, and we start ourselves in the cave. The rest of these were random, and I already set them up on the board. We're going to see here, because we're playing a solo game, so this is a cooperative game. You can play with 1 to 4 players. I'm playing with 1. We start with a certain amount of minions out on the board. This is the minion deck, and so we're going to start with 2 minions out. So I'll flip the top 2 out. We have a defender. That one will be placed in the forest 2 location. And then our second one we have here, this is an elite, and that will be in the fortress. Oh, wow, an elite. That's 4 health. That guy's going to be brutal. Okay, so I've set those 2 up. We also see here, this says that we need to add 6 event cards. So I'm going to grab these event cards. Well, I already did. I've got 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've randomly grabbed those. I have them set aside. At the end of each turn, you're going to be drawing an event card, and if ever you need to draw an event card and you don't have one there, you lose the game. The other way you lose the game is if any dragon, or if you're playing solo, your dragon has no health cards left, you lose. So we'll flip this card over, and then there's some more flavor text, which I'll skip reading, but we can see here what our objective is. So right now, this game, you're going to get different goals as you go through the scenario, and then the final goal will tell you how to win the game. So we have, during the action phase here, a dragon on the same tile as a minion may spend X, and that symbol is movement. So we can have X movement, where X is equal to the minion's remaining health plus 1. So if they only have 1 health left, I can spend 2 movement. If they have 2 health left, I can spend 3 movement. If they do, defeat the minion and place 1 quest token beside this card. And our goal is to have 2 quest tokens here. Once we do that, we'll flip this card and see what comes next. As I mentioned before, this is a deck building game, and it's really more of a deck optimizing game because every time you buy a card, you're going to lose a card from your hand. So your deck, which is 14 cards large, will always be 14 cards. I love that. Renegade, one of my favorite games from Ricky Royal, actually did the same thing, and I love how that works because you're more likely to see the cards you buy. Also, when you buy cards, they will go directly into your hand, not in your discard pile where you have to wait to redraw them. One of the main components of your player cards is going to be the aspect. There are 3 different types. We have fight, which is the red one. We have flight, which is the blue one. And then we have hunt, which is the green one over here. The star is wild, so it can be any type. Whenever it's the beginning of your turn for the round, you're going to choose which of those suits or aspects you're going to be able to play for that round. You'll only be able to play cards of that specific aspect. So if I choose hunt and I had this versatile hunt in my hand, I actually wouldn't be able to play that card. I would need to choose the fight aspect, which is part of the puzzle of the game. You'll also see the cards here that are in the growth row. This is called the growth row, have symbols down at the bottom. That tells you how many resources you have to spend in order to grow into those cards. And you'll see how that works as we play. Here we have our dragon player board, and yes, this is what's so fun about this game. You are a dragon, and you are starting off as a young, small dragon, and as you play through the different chapters, you grow, which is cool. And because we're on chapter 3, you'll see I actually already have a unique card in my deck, and from what I understand, with the Kickstarter, because it has already funded, there is a free expansion that's coming with that makes each of the different dragons unique initially. So I'm playing the amethyst, or the red, purple one. Normally you start off with everyone having the same deck, same types of cards, and then you slowly change it as you play through the 8 scenarios. The expansion will immediately provide differences between the dragons. At least that's how I understand it. So down here you're going to see we have our health. If ever all 4 of these get discarded and we don't have any health here at all, we lose the game. What's fun about this game is when you do lose health, it goes into your discard pile, and then you'll draw it back up, and if you pick that specific aspect to lead for that round, you can play it as health for yourself, which is great. Here is where we will track which of the 3 aspects we choose we can play for that specific round, and we'll use this marker to denote that. We can hold resources. Right now, there's 3 here and 1, down here, so we can hold a total of 4 resources for now, but if this one gets discarded, we can only ever hold 3. Any excess you just leave on the tile. We also have our deck of 14 cards. Now there is one card that I have upgraded since I am at chapter 3. You can tell it's my upgraded card, and they're called trait cards because in the left hand corner it will not have the purple icon, and so I have the thunderclap. This gives me a specific ability that's unique to this deck now. And I had to, when I put this into my deck, I had to replace it with one other hunt type of card, so I removed a roam card from this deck. I have my dragon all set up and ready to go. We'll draw 6 cards, 4, 5, 6, and for that first round, we can mulligan 2 of them. We have a lunge card, and you can see this is the action that we can do when we play the card, and then if we pay the cost down here, we can do this secondary action. If we pay that cost, we can do these actions in any order. What we can pay here is either a resource type, and the name of that resource is escaping me right now. It's a dragon fire or something like that. We can pay that resource, or we can discard a card from our hand that matches the aspect of the card that we're playing to be able to then do the secondary action. We have a bite, and so this will be doing a fight. This is gathering resources, and that's move. And those are the 3 basic cards that you have in your deck. The 3 basic symbols, I should say. So you're going to be either moving, collecting resources, or attacking. And then, of course, I do have my unique card. So if we look at our aspects, we have 2 of each. Really? That's not a great way to start. I love gathering resources at the beginning, and I'm kind of far away from enemies, so I do think I'm going to discard these 2 to start the game and draw 2 more. Okay, so at least I have 3 of these hunt cards, and so because of that, I do think I'm going to choose that as the aspect I'm going to play for this round. How your turns work during the game is first you choose an aspect, so I'm choosing that hunt aspect. Then we take player turns. Now if I'm playing with more than one person, we alternate actions. So I'll do an action, then my teammate will do an action, and we'll keep going. For me, I'll just keep taking player turns until I either cannot play a card or I choose not to play a card. Then I can pass. When I pass, I can place 1 card in my hand in the prep area so long as it matches the aspect that I've chosen, or it's a wild, or I can discard 1 card from my hand. Then I will take all the cards in my play area, discard them, draw up to 6 cards, and then we'll move into the enemy activation, which starts with minions. Then we do a boss, then we draw an event, and then we clean up anything that's out there for tokens or whatnot, and we'll rinse and repeat this. We'll do this until either we lose our health, there are no more event cards, or the scenario says that we win. Our amethyst dragon starts out here in the cave, and this is called Dragonstone. That's our Dragonstone resource. So if I choose to play a card that lets me collect a resource, you look at the tile that your dragon is on, and you can collect the resource that's there. If ever we get a move symbol, we can move to adjacent tiles, and unfortunately our two minions are very far away, so we know we need to defeat them and use some movement as well. Also, the cards that are in the growth area, there are two cards in your deck that lets you grow cards. Well, I didn't draw one, so we know we can't get any of those growth cards. So I think the first thing we're going to do is play our stock card. We can see that stock is part of the hunt aspect, which is why I can play it. It will give us a free gather or a gather action. So I can gather because I'm in a location with Dragonstone, one single Dragonstone. Now these Dragonstones are tiny. They will be much larger in the actual game. Now what I could do with that Dragonstone is spend it right now, and I actually think I'm going to, so that I can do the lower section here. That lower section then allows me to move one space. Now if I had this Dragonstone with me before I played this card, I could have played this, paid that Dragonstone, and did the move first, and then collected the resource. But I didn't have it, so I'm just going to use it to be able to move. And essentially, that's what I'm doing with this card. And this now will stay out in my play area. It does not go into my discard pile yet. I could choose to move to Forest 3, Forest 4, or Mountain 1. I think I'm going to move over to the Mountain 1 location because I can still continue to collect Dragonstone. I can collect meat here, which is good. Any resources is good because it can help you grow. But meat, what you can do with meat is you can spend it at any time as a free action to draw a card. Not nearly as powerful, I feel, as the Dragonstone that lets you then play both portions of your card. It's kind of like in Mage Knight when you're able to power up your cards. I like being able to do that. So I think I'm going to choose the mountain for the space that I'm going to go to. Looking at the cards I have remaining in my hand, I think I'm just going to do another stock and another seize. Those are the only other two cards I can play, and I'm only going to do the top and collect two of the Dragonstone. I could have potentially moved and even dealt a damage, but I wasn't going to be able to take out that minion, so instead I'm just going to collect the resources, and very likely I'm going to draw one of my growth cards, so that's why I felt like that was a good idea. That's all I can do this round. I can prep a card, but actually I can't because none of them are the same resource type. If I had a coin, you can discard a coin and change any card's aspect to a wild, so you can play it. I don't have any coins. So I have 2 blue and a red. I discarded 2 red already, and you start with 4 of each aspect, so I think I'm going to discard the red, hoping that when I draw up to 6, I will get more blue. Oh, well, that's a wild. 1, 2, 3, 4, of course not. 5, that is blue, and our last one, 6, that's a lot of blue. That'll be great for our next turn. So we just completed our pass. We'll now move to the minion phase. During the minion phase, if any dragon is in the space of a minion, it will attack them. Now, my dragon is not in any of their spaces, so none of them will deal any damage. However, some of them sometimes will say move, so they might move also and attack, but right now don't have to worry about that. They're just going to stay where they are. We don't have a boss out, so we can pass that. The next thing is drawing our first of our 6 event cards. We have Minions Strike from the Shadows. So we can see the one player has an X on it, so we can ignore this effect. Thank goodness, because that is meaning that we suffer a condition, and I'd have to take one of those condition cards. I don't have to do that. But for one player, I do need to add a new minion. Our next minion is a demon. Oh man, has 4 health. Holy moly. Instead of dealing you damage, it actually causes you to take a condition card, and it will be spawned in the cave. That will complete our first round. We'll start that second round, and looking at our hand, it makes total sense. We're choosing flight. All but one of our cards is the flight type, so we will be playing our flight cards. We'll start this round by playing our Thunderclap card, gathering that 1 Dragonstone resource. We have 3. Remember, we can only hold 4 at a time. And then if this is the first card that we played, which it certainly is, we get a free movement, and we can stun. You can only stun minions. You can't stun the boss. We can stun a minion in our space. We'll move in with this defender, and we'll stun him, which means that if we don't take him out this round, he will not attack us this turn. Our next card will be our Grow card. You can see it's wild, so that's why we can play it. We can resolve a growth action, and that means where we can grow one of our cards into one of the upgraded cards, or we could refresh the upgrade path. So if we didn't like the growth cards that were out, we could discard any that we'd like and refill them. I definitely want to resolve the growth action. I think I'm going to spend 2 resources to do this. This Furious Grab costs 2 resources, looks pretty awesome because it lets us gather, and if we spend a Dragonstone or discard a card of the same type, we get a move and an attack for 1. So I'm going to go ahead and place that into my hand, but then I have to lose a card from my hand. So I'm going to lose this swoop card. Notice how it's a different aspect. That's totally fine. I now will have more of the flight aspect, so hopefully that'll mean it's easier for me to activate those cards more often. We'll also replenish this with a mighty roar. Any dragon or minion will be moved, and then any dragon or minion can move too. Whoa, that's cool. Due to the scenario that we're playing, we're able to use movement to defeat a minion, but it's going to cost us 1 additional movement. So I think I'm going to play 2 lunges and a roam. I'm going to forego the bottoms on these ones. I am, however, going to spend 1 resource, my third one, to be able to power up the roam, and you'll see how that works in a second. That is a total then of 3 movement, which is 1 higher than the health of this minion. That minion's now been defeated, and you can see here, this minion will then drop a resource, and that's a coin. I like coins. Making any card a wild card is always helpful. So that is going to be dropped into the same, or on that same tile that we're on. We then can do a gather action. So how the gather action works normally is it just gathers 1 resource from that tile. But if you have any resources dropped from minions or from event cards, you can always pick up 1 of those in addition to the resource from the actual tile itself. So that means getting this resource or this gather action after I defeat it with this movement, I'm able to pick up that coin and pick up a dragon stone from that location. So I just collected 2 resources. And I almost cheated. It was not Dragonstone. We're in the Forest 2 location, so that actually is meat. So I have a meat and a coin on my player board. I also have my first of 2 quest tokens that I'll place here. When I place the second one, I may at any time, you may freely flip this card at any time. So I don't have to flip it after I defeat the next minion with movement. I can, and I can choose to flip it at any time because you need to be ready to fight, as you can see. I have 1 card left in my hand, and I think I'm going to hold on to it. Instead of playing it, I'm going to simply put it into my prep area. This will mean we'll take all of our cards here, then our play area, discard them, and draw up to 6. I only have 2 in my deck, so I will draw or shuffle and draw 4 more. Looking at this hand, I do have a lot of hunts, 1 flight, and 1 fight. There's only 2 minions on the board. Neither will activate. They don't attack us, so we'll just draw our next event card. We have a mystical fog hampers your efforts. Once again, we can ignore whatever's here because we're at 1 player, so we can just draw 1 minion. We have found the shaman that is in the Forest 2 location, which is exactly where we're at. It will drop a dragonstone when defeated. This will end our second round. Let's start our third round. For this round, we'll choose the hunt aspect. Let's see how this works for us. I'll start by activating my Seize card, which is going to allow me to gather 1 resource. I'm going to discard this stock, so it's not going to go into our play area. I'm going to discard it, but that's so I can do the bottom-most portion of this card as well and deal 1 damage. 1 damage to that shaman will place like so, and we get another meat. So we have 2 meats and a coin. Then I think we'll spend all 3 of these precious resources. Is that smart? I don't know, but I love the growth actions, you guys. It's really my favorite. I'm going to play this, resolve a growth action. I'm going to lose another one of the fight cards. Maybe also not a good idea, but it is what it is. And grab this rapid growth card. It is another health. If this is in your life area, then all other cards are -1 for your cost, which is so cool. So I'm going to put that into my hand. I'll be playing that in just a second, and we'll replenish that with a plan card. Add the top 2 cards of your deck to your prep area. Oh my gosh. And that only cost me 2 because I'm playing this out. So now I have 5 health and another spot to hold resources. Yeah, do you see why I was all excited about that? I'll then finish my turn by playing Seize. I don't have a card I can discard for this, which is a bummer, but I will collect 1 meat, which I could use to draw cards, but I don't think it's worth it. I'm then just going to end my turn. I think I'm going to keep this card in my hand. I like this lunge, so I'm going to keep it. I'm going to discard these 3 from the prep area and draw 5 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So here's the 5 cards I'm drawing. Okay, I've got 2 blues, another hunt, and 2 fights, as well as that lunge. Now though, during the minion phase, that shaman will attack us, and we gain one of these condition cards to the top of our deck. We'll then end the round and draw our next event card. The local warlords are collecting taxes. Oh boy, I'm a tax accountant. Sounds like it makes sense. Place a coin on the fortress, and that does happen for us because one player is not crossed out, and add a minion. Apparently, we like the shamans. This one will be in Forest 1. We've now completed 3 turns. Let's go ahead and start turn 4. We're going to take out this shaman. We're going to start with Thunderclap. That will gain us 1 of the meat resources, so we now have 2. Because this is the first card we're playing, we get a movement and we can stun the shaman, but that's not going to matter because I'm going to get movement 2 and movement 3, foregoing the bottoms because I don't have the right resources for that. No, not worth it. I don't think it's worth it. I'm just going to do the 3, which is 1 more than the health that we need to take out for this guy. So that will take this out and complete the second quest token. So now at any time I can flip over and advance the story, which I don't think I'm quite ready for, but it's nice to be all prepared for it. And the next minion I take out, I don't have to use movement for it. That shaman will drop 1 Dragonstone here, which is great because we can collect that with our Furious Grab that we have prepared. We'll be able to collect 2 resources with this card because there's 1 sitting out on the tile. And then we'll use that dragon resource right away so we can get the bottom half, simply so we can move. We'll collect that 1 Dragonstone plus the 1 meat and then spend that Dragonstone so we can do the bottom half of that card so we can move 1 to the outpost. We have 3 meat sitting in our supply. I have 3 cards that I can't play. Meat lets me draw cards. Is it worth spending a meat? Would I maybe draw my growth? Well, we do know that one of those cards is a condition card, and I don't think that's worth a meat. So I think, unfortunately, I'm just going to pass. Now I have 2. Oh, man, this stinks because I have 2 of the fight cards, but I've removed the other 2 fight cards. So that's the most fight cards I'm going to have. So I think, as much as I like these, I'm going to discard a fight card. I wish I could discard more cards. And then I'm going to draw the 3 that are here. Okay, we have a growth, we have a lunge, and then this one says, close call, no effect to destroy this card. Oh, we're lucky. Okay, so that condition card wasn't terrible, but that's 5 cards. I get to draw 1 more. Our final card was this Furious Grab. Not too shabby. Gives us a move, another attack, and more resource generation. I love resource generation, especially when we have a growth card in our hand. No minions will attack. We'll just simply draw the next event card. We're starting to run out of turns. The minions strike yet again from the shadows. The dragon closest to a minion, which is us, suffers another condition, but we don't spawn any new minions. That means we're going to take the top card of that condition deck and put it on top of our deck again. Now it's back to choosing our aspect. I've got 3 meat. Do I spend a meat to see what I draw? Oh, I don't really need 3 meat. Well, actually I do. You know what? I'm going to choose the flight aspect. Yep, I'm going to choose the flight aspect. We're going to play our grow card, resolve a growth action. Don't mind if I do. We're going to spend, I only have to spend 2 resources for this. It costs us 3 to get this plan card, and I'm going to lose this bite card. I mean, I'm just going to get rid of all of these red ones. Now it's 3, actually, is that all 4? That's all 4. I won't even see those in my deck anymore. Awesome. Might have a hard time dealing damage, but who cares? I'm spending those 2. Growth goes out into my play area, but plan goes into my hand. And I'm going to immediately use it. I'm going to gather a coin because I'm at the outpost. And then I get to add the top 2 cards of your deck to your prep area. Well, one of those is a condition. I don't exactly know how that works. If it's a condition that's in my prep area, can I just leave it there? I'm going to say why not. Because if it's in my prep area, I'm not playing it and I just won't play it. Is that cheating? I don't know. Well, hopefully Mike will tell me. Here's our condition or threat card. Gosh, I called them condition cards. It says here, place this card in your prep area. So that's kind of hilarious that it's getting played there. This says during the aspect phase, I need to choose the flight and then I can destroy this, or I take 1 damage and keep this card in our prep area. So this is just going to sit in our prep area, and the stock card is also going to sit in our prep area, which that doesn't even match the right type of aspect for us for this round, but still cool to be able to have that prepared and ready. We'll then refresh that with a swipe card. Why don't we use one of our meat resources? So we're down to only 1 resource, but we can draw a card. And we have a lunge, which is the aspect that we're using right now, which is flight. Sweet. I'm going to play a Furious Grab, and I'm going to spend a coin so I can discard from my hand stock so I can use the bottom portion of this card because that coin makes that card wild, and that means that it gives me the bottom half. So I'm going to move, deal a damage, and gather resources. I'll move into the fortress. I will deal 1 of the 4 damage that we need to deal, and then I will collect 1 coin from here, plus a coin from the tile itself. So now I have 2 coins. As much as I don't love taking a damage, I think this is worth it. I am going to place a card in my prep area for the pass. I'm going to take the 3 cards that I've played for this round and put them in my discard pile. I have 1 other lunge in my hand. I'm going to draw up to 6. And looking at this hand, we should be good for picking the flight aspect next time and getting rid of that threat card. During the minion phase, this minion will attack us for 1 point of damage. I will lose this life. The life here, I'm doing this one because it has the flight symbol, so more likely for me to be able to play it. If I chose this one, then the only way to get it back out is by actually choosing that aspect, and I hope to never have to choose that aspect now, considering I've gotten rid of all the cards in my deck of that aspect. I'm realizing, you guys, I totally could have taken out that enemy had I remembered the magic tokens here. Completely forgot. This is such a cool ad, but I hadn't used it in other scenarios, so I forgot about it. Too bad. I'll try and use it next time. So I only have 2 events left. Let's see what this one is. Benevolent spirits gift you with some of their energy. Oh, the dragon with the fewest life cards in hand draws 1, or life cards in play draws 1 card. Well, that would be us, and no minion spawn. We just drew our growth action card. Now we'll end round 5, and I think it's time for us to take out this minion, and then we're going to move to the next chapter of our quest. So we need to deal 3 damage to this guy. The first thing we'll do during the aspect choice is choose flight, so that way we can get rid of this fear card. We're no longer afraid. I can't believe I'm doing it this way, but I'm going to. I'm going to use a lunge, and a roam. That's 3 movement, and I'm going to use my first magic. That's 4 total movement. That's 1 more than the health of this elite. You can see that. And since we're still at that part of the quest, I believe I can do this to use the movement and defeat him. He's going to drop 2 coins in that location. Now I'm also going to spend 1 of my coins so that I can discard this stock card. And by doing that, that's going to allow me to use the bottom effect here, which will allow me to gather some resources. I'm also going to have to draw 1 of the threat cards, and I'm going to grab a new magic token and flip it over. Okay, so we have another one that can deal a damage. You'll always have 4 in the pool, and you can use 2 around. With that gather, we'll grab 1 of the coins that's sitting at the fortress, plus the other one at the fortress location. That gives me 3 total resources. I still have 5 cards in hand, which is awesome. And now, though, I am going to move us to the next portion of this quest. We have defeated at least 2 minions with movement instead of attack. So we'll flip this over. We'll ignore the text, and we'll just read this. Discard all quest tokens, add 2 events, thank goodness, place the boss figure in the fortress. Oh boy. So here's our boss figure. And then we're going to draw 1 minion card from the supply, adding all minions drawn to the fortress instead of their printed tile. So we're going to place this dwarf here with us. Okay, thinking it's only 2 health. And then we're going to flip this card. We have the Death Knight. That's who we're fighting. It has a total of 2 health. It has an attack value of 1, range 0, so if we get out of that tile, it will not deal us damage. Now, I haven't moved out of a tile with enemies. If ever you do that, you take 1 unblockable damage. That's it. That's all you get. Even if there's minions or bosses, it's just 1 damage. And then during the boss phase, move each minion 1 tile closer to the fortress. You'll also see here the Death Knight can't suffer damage while there's a minion at the fortress. So I need to take out that dwarf. Then I need to take him out, and I need to do that before all these minions start chasing us down. Oh boy. When we defeat the Death Knight, we'll flip this card. I almost forgot to take my threat card. I'll put that on top of my deck. That's because I used some magic. To start dealing with both the minion and the boss, I'm going to play Seize. I'm going to use a coin to make that any type of aspect. I want to be able to do the bottom now. So I am going to discard Thunderclap. I had Thunderclap in my hand. I'm going to simply discard it. I now have 2 grows in my hand. But that means I get to deal 1 damage to this dwarf. And I get to collect, well, guess what? 1 coin. So I'm going to take that coin right back. Then I'm going to play my other C's. I'm going to use this coin to be able to play that out of aspect. I'm going to discard this growth card to be able to do the bottom half, which is the second damage, and that takes out this dwarf, which will put out one of these dragon stones. That means when I do the collection with the C's here, I will be able to grab both a coin and that dragon stone. Then with the single card I have in my hand, the grow, I'm going to put it in my prep area, end my turn, which means I will take all of these cards that I have in my play area. That was a solid turn if you think of how much I was able to do. And then I will draw 6 cards, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we'll shuffle to draw one more. Here's our 6 cards. Look at all those flight cards, but we have here burglar we'll have to deal with at the beginning of our turn. If able, return 1 resource from your hoard to the supply. Yes, we're going to lose one of those coins, but we can deal with that. Both of these minions now will move 1 space towards us. Thank goodness they're not in our space, because all we have to do is 2 damage to the boss. I think we can do that, and then we'll move to the next part of this scenario. However, we still have to take 1 damage from the boss, so I think I'm going to lose this one that has the hunt, because that's usually the other aspect that I'll choose. I only have 3 health remaining. And did I draw any of my health cards? Let's see, I did. I drew one of my health cards, so I'll go back to 1 more health back, which is good. We now have 3 event cards, so let's go ahead and draw and resolve one of them. A new vein of Dragonstone has been discovered. Place a Dragonstone token on Mountain 1, and we have to add 1 monster. We have our Shaman at Forest 4. We've completed 6 turns. Let's start with this burglar. We'll remove it from the game and lose 1 coin. So 1 coin gone. We still have a Dragonstone and 2 more coins. We're going to continue being in the hunt aspect, probably almost the whole rest of the game. We'll put down our 1 life for it. That boss is not going to know what's hitting him. We're going to use our Dragonstone that we have here, so we can get 1 damage plus the damage here. So we have 2 total damage. That's all we need to defeat the boss. I'm going to keep these 2 available to us, because after we defeat the boss, we'll flip the card and see what we need to do, and then we'll activate these 2. I do, though, need to remember to grab a threat card and put it on top of our deck, and we'll flip over a new magic card, or a token, and this one is a free movement. Once the boss is defeated, we can flip this card. There's some more text. I won't read it. Remove the boss figure. Place a quest token on the fortress. Okay, so we have a quest token on the fortress in our location. This is the egg. It can be gathered and dropped like a normal resource. So when we do our gather action, we can pick that up. Add 2 event cards to the event deck, and then we'll flip this card. So we just added 2 more events. And we've got some more flavor text. Start of the minion phase. Move the closest minion not on the same tile, 1 tile towards the egg, whether it is being carried or not. All minions on the egg carrier's tile must attack the egg carrier. So when there's more dragons, you can spread out the attacks. Can't here. Goal. During the cleanup phase, if the dragon holding the egg is on the cave, flip this card. So we basically have gathered the egg, and now we're trying to run all the way back to the cave. This means with this symbol, we can gather that egg. We'll place that onto our player board, and we'll gather 1 coin from the fortress itself. So that means we have 3 coins. We still have 1 movement as well. That furious grab was awesome. We'll move ourselves to the outpost. We'll then use the grow card in our hand to resolve a growth action. And we're going to spend only 1 coin because we still have the rapid growth out. So 1 resource is going to allow us to grab the Mighty Roar. Look at how awesome that card is. It's wild. We have to lose 1 card from our hand. We'll lose this stock. We couldn't play it anyways. We'll flip this one over. Oh, survey looks cool. We'll then play our Mighty Roar. Any dragon or minion move 1 space, and then any dragon or minion move another space. And that second action we're going to get by discarding the grow that we had in our prep area. So that gives us 2 movement. We'll move ourselves 1, 2. When we move out of that space with that shaman, we take 1 point of damage. I'll discard 1 health. We have 3 health remaining. Next, we'll play our plan card, gathering a resource of Dragonstone. So we have 3 resources, 1 Dragonstone and 2 coins, and then add the top 2 cards of your deck to the prep area. Well, we know one of them is bad. This says may not be played, prepped, or discarded except by the effect below. Oh, I wonder how that works. I don't know. I'm going to put it in my prep area because it says I can. I don't know. I don't know how that works, Mike. Tell me. And I've got my roam. That's what I was hoping for. Because Since it's in my prep area, I'm going to play it for one simple move. That's going to cause me to take another point of damage. I'll discard this life, so I only have 2 health remaining. And that will let me slide right over to the cave. Nice. Okay, so I'm at the cave. I have no cards left in hand. Now what's going to happen is I get to draw my hand up. Doesn't matter what I have. Minions are going to activate. Move the closest minion not on the same tile, 1 tile towards the egg, whether it is being carried or not. So this minion right here, or this one, can move into our space. This one's going to come into the cave, and it's going to give me another threat card. That's fine. I place that threat card on top of my deck. I am A-okay, because then we move to the... Oh, actually, we'd have to do the event phase next. But I don't think it's going to matter what this event is, because after that, it's the cleanup phase, and as long as we're here, we win the game. Yeah, this one just lets us put a coin on Forest 3, so that won't be a problem. We can then flip this card during that cleanup phase, and it says Rewards, reset the player deck, so you'll always reset your deck back to the starting deck plus your trait cards. We'll draw actually more trait cards. We'll be able to replace another card from our deck with that trait card. And so you can see your deck slowly levels up as you play. And then we move on to Chapter 4. And that, my friends, is Flame and Fang. And hopefully that helped you see how this game works. It's super fun. I like the puzzle. It's quick. It's not too long. It does work really well co-op too, because you'll be working together potentially to take out enemies, and you can take out an enemy, someone else can collect resources. I like it. I'm not going to talk too much about it because I have a huge bias, as I really like Mike and Peter, and so of course I want this to do well. So I'm just showing you, if you're interested, check out the links in the description below. That will give you the Kickstarter. I'll also put links to other people's playthroughs. There's a review by Adam from Board Game Co., I think, as well. So I'll put links to all of that below. You can check them out. If you have any questions about the game, I've played the first 4 chapters. That's what I've played. I haven't played the final 4, but I'm sure if you have questions, you can ask on the Kickstarter as well. And like I said, it's already funded, so it's going to be made. It's just, if you're interested, you can check it out. The price isn't terrible either. I think it's 30-some bucks, so it's not terrible. As always, thank you so much for watching, and if you're excited to see what comes next, then I need you to meet me at the table. See you, everyone.